Today's card of the day is another card from Strixhaven that is Professor Onyx and a black for a legendary planeswalker, Liliana. With magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each one loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Her +1 is you lose 1 life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. -3, each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. -8, each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 or more times, starting at 5 loyalty. Interesting card I have to add. It's kind of weird how this is sort of a black ability. I think it's definitely molded into what I would deem more of a, I don't know, sort of ubiquitously known as a blue or red effect, where you do things based off instants and sorceries. Now it seems to have molded over to white and black, especially with, I think it was a Zendikar thing where they had angels that started doing these things based on like spells being cast, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I think it feels good, but it's interesting to see this effect. I definitely don't think this is the best part of this card, but it's a nice little sort of, I don't know, dust to add over a pile of what might be redeemable in an EDH game. Its +1 is draw a card, maybe draw a card and a little more, I think, in value, which is kind of a little bit if you think about the amount of value you want to get from 6 mana Planeswalker. You sort of do it to mold your graveyard, but in this case, you're doing it at 6 mana 1 time a turn. I guess over the span of a few turns, Planeswalkers are generally supposed to do gain value over a few turns. This could be good, but you losing 1 life and then getting 1 card, I don't know. I think it is better than a brainstorm in most cases, but is it though? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because you don't get to brainstorm lock yourself. But yeah, I don't think that you play this card just for that reason. Its another ability is each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. Honestly, as a value-oriented person, this seems like the most interesting part of the ability, because you get in this weird situation where, oh, you think there's too much crap on the board that's just like utterly just like annoying, and you're just like, oh, edict. But the thing about this edict, and there's been a few other edicts that do this sort of thing where they get rid of the largest thing, which makes them so much better, I think. And it just makes it so much better to play an edict, but also it's like so much worse to play against edict, because usually edicts are on two mana, right? And this just becomes, oh, 2 mana, get rid of. It's like a kind of like a one-sided time walk, where you played it your, especially if you're in a lower power pod, you played your 6 mana or 7 mana spell on curve, and it's a creature, of course, because you're playing in lower power metas, and they just edict it. It just feels so bad. But in this case, it is at 6 mana for -3 on a 5 loyalty planeswalker. It's probably worth it. That's probably fine, right? If you get this done a few times, you can see how, like, if you end up edicting a total value of like 6 mana worth of creatures, is this fine? I think usually it'll be higher than if you're playing EDH, but I think this is like a pretty fine ability. I really do like this ability for -3. It's sort of like the removal part of the Planeswalker that a lot of people do like. The +1 draw a card, the -3 destroy something, and the -8 game breaking. Maybe this is the template that they're continuing on with. So it's -8 is each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process. We've seen this ability, I think, a few times on things like Torment of Hellfire, which have notoriously been pretty good and game ending. If you lose 3 life 8 times, are you winning the game? Especially when you're casting this at 6 mana. I think most of the time you are. Especially with the fact that it says each opponent. I like how this effect says each opponent, and knowing that this black card, and I think a majority of black cards have this thing where they sort of make up for the fact that they know that these cards are gonna be played in a multiplayer format. Where like you see a lot of these like white cards are just like target opponent, and it's just like, what? There's like miles difference in like power level just because of the way that black cards are formatted compared to white cards. But yeah, these each opponent clause is, I think, what's doing this card a little. It's like makes this card a little better than I would otherwise thought it would be, which is fine. Yeah, at 6 mana for this effect, it's probably gonna be game ending in a standard environment. I don't think you're gonna get there really in a EDH environment. I could be wrong. If you're playing maybe against battle cruisery, the -3 could be super harmful, and then getting enough value where I can see this, like if you're playing like against a mono black, the mono black player is playing Professor Onyx, maybe you'd get there, but this just seems kind of meh, meh. I don't know. Not honestly, not. super crazed with these new planeswalkers, but that's fine. That's totally fine because honestly, these planeswalkers have been kind of bunkers. Last few times they formed up some like fire design planeswalkers, so it's kind of good to see these power levels going down a little bit. But also interesting that Danny Trejo ended up showing this off. So yeah. Anyways, tell me what you guys think about this card in the comments below. Peace out.